Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Dharma. In this episode, we'll be talking about the deep wisdom that comes with cultivating patience within our lives. The story that we'll be reflecting on this theme is called The Seed of Patience, and it comes from the book Zen Stories with Master Seiji by Daiki Shimada. Here is how the story goes. A visitor came to Master Seiji, driven by deep impatience, demanding from him, "Show me at once how to master my desires." Seiji calmly looked at him and handed him a seed and said, "Okay, why don't you plant this seed in my garden and we'll see." Confused, yet intrigued, the visitor asked, "How will planting this seed help me master my desires?" "When it bears fruit," Seiji answered simply. The visitor planted the seed, his mind clouded with questions, yet unanswered. And as the seasons changed, so did the seed grow, unnoticed by the visitor's eyes, fixated on the plant bearing fruit and on getting immediate answers. Years later, standing before the now flourishing tree, the visitor found Seiji once more. "I sought to master my desires," the visitor started, but his voice trailed off as soon as he gazed at the tree that he had planted all those years ago, and its branches were swaying gently, full of beautiful fruit. Seiji looked at him, a big smile playing on his lips, and said nothing. In the peaceful silence that followed, the visitor understood what Master Seiji was trying to teach him. There's something very beautiful about how Master Seiji in the story uses his garden as a tool of teaching when it comes to sharing Zen with other people, and the natural process of how long it takes for a seed to become a tree is something that is absolutely invaluable to a person who is deeply impatient and also deeply lacking in the understanding of the basic rhythms of life. And the funny thing is, we all do this. I have definitely been that stranger in my life many times. There have been so many instances in life where I am putting so much energy into getting a job or finding a new relationship or looking for friendships. It's always this sense of, if I put in all the effort, if I want it hard enough, then it should happen immediately. And I think this is very much a sense of reflection as well of our instant gratification culture. So if society all around us kind of enables this impatience with life, where if you just put in enough elbow grease, things will happen immediately for you, how on earth can we learn to truly master ourselves, our hearts, our desires? Because these things are not the same as ordering a plate of food on an app on your phone. But because we're so used to that experience, we now expect it to happen with every aspect of our lives. And we see this in general and how people struggle and how we struggle as well when it comes to those bigger questions, to those bigger things. Whenever we get sick, there is a sense of, I need to find that medicine that will immediately cure me. Whenever we essentially get into a relationship and we encounter issues, there's also this sense of, why is it so hard? I've already done everything I needed. This should just work. Marriage should just work. And there is such a lack of understanding, I would say, in mainstream media and mainstream society about how the best things in life truly do take time. And everything in life has its own rhythm, its own timetable, its own schedule. And it is actually quite devastating when people don't realize this and understand this about their own lives. There have been so many moments in life when I was a younger person where I just felt so desperate when things didn't happen for me that I honestly felt like life is so dark and I'm losing hope for myself and for my happiness. But thankfully, perhaps due to learning Buddhist philosophy and also seeing and hearing from the examples that I had had in my life, just remembering that ultimately everything has its own time, that patience really is a virtue because it gives things in our lives the time to really ripen and mature at their rhythm, not at the rhythm that we expect it to. When we remember that, everything in life starts to become easier because we understand now that the onus is not on us to put in all of that effort, all of that feverish energy to get everything done. Sometimes things will not get done. Sometimes things will not happen. And that is a normal part of life. It doesn't matter how much this person yelled at, cajoled, tried to convince the seed in the ground to grow. The seed will grow in the time that it takes for a seed to become a tree and bear fruit. And the same thing applies to learning, to understand, to accept, and then to finally manage and let go of their desires. Of course, that whole conflict of trying to manage your desires, I think it really is, in some level, about expectations. When we learn to accept that things in life take time, our desires actually quieten. They don't burn so deeply in us anymore because we understand that things ripen in their time. And by just desiring it further, desiring it more, it's not going to happen for us. And in fact, this desire is eating us alive because it is consuming our thoughts. It's taking up all of our energy. And in the past, especially when I was younger and going through experiences for the first time, I think that was the thing that really struck me the most, is that when you desire something, when you really want something to happen, and it doesn't matter how much you want this to happen at all costs, it really destroys you. Because the thing is, things don't happen according to our timing. They don't happen simply because we want them to. And this is just a fact of life. And when we learn to be patient, we accept this fact. And we offer, instead of desperation, instead of hopelessness, instead of frustration, we offer the situation a deep sense of space, of wisdom, of calm. And in bringing that energy instead, it almost naturally starts to quieten our desires and creates an environment where we can finally look inward and introspect and understand what is happening within ourselves. The thing is, when I look back, every time I had that desire burn in me, where I really wanted something to happen immediately, in hindsight, I am so happy it didn't, because I wasn't truly understanding of what it is that I was getting into, what it is that I was wanting. And only with time did I really understand that process. And I was happy when things didn't happen for me as I initially wanted. And when you go through life with patience instead of deep, impatient desire, you are so much more calm and so much more satisfied with the right now, instead of always hungering and wanting the next thing in the next moment. And I think ultimately the cultivation of patience really enriches your quality of life, because you're no longer blaming yourself so much for all the things that didn't happen, and instead allowing yourself to accept that everything, just like the seed in the story, has its own time. And if it doesn't happen now, it doesn't mean it will never happen. It just means it will happen when it is ready to happen. And that's not your fault. It is simply how life is. And with this deeper appreciation for life comes a deep patience and the wisdom that really allows patience to be cultivated within you, leading to greater satisfaction and happiness in many different circumstances. I truly apologize that I'm unable to add in the intro music for today. Thank you to all the people who have been writing in every single email I see. I try my best to reply, and I'm so appreciative of all the kind, beautiful people who listen to this podcast, and of you. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any thoughts you'd like to share, or even a question, please email me anytime at dailydharmapodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I hope you have a beautiful, safe, and joyful week ahead of you. Until next week.